You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up the better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 5th part of, What If Deku Becomes King and Gets 13 Princess Harem. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of MadHat886 on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. The kingdom of Muni is now in the hands of Meteora, the daughter of Eclipsa, who is the true heir of the throne. Who had taken over the entire kingdom by herself and is banishing all the Mumens out of her kingdom. When Izuku and the others came, where she revealed the truth to them, which Hippolyta, using the lasso of truth of her, showed it's all true. The Magic High Commission had switched her for Festivia, a peasant girl who was put on the butterfly throne out of disgust and fear towards having Eclipse's half-monster daughter rule Muni. She is also from Pie Island, home of the Pie Folk, a clan of pie-baking con artists, liars and thieves. Which was all revealed by Glossaric after Discord had pulled him out from wherever he had disappeared to and been missing for months. Who are also keeping the surviving members of the Magic High Commission, Hecapu, Omnitraxus Prime, and Rhombulus, prisoners in Energy Ball. And had waited for everyone to come before they showed themselves. They're there because Meteora had gone to Equestria and found Fluttershy, who she had learned is friends with Discord, and got her to call him. Explaining her plan to him, which he agreed to help her. For fun. The true heir of the throne taking back what's hers, from the family that was put in charge. Forcing the invaders to leave her lands and allow her people, the monsters, to retake their lost lands. Only allowing the ones who have a relationship with monsters to stay. This is an internal matter, a civil war, and it isn't something that would endanger what's outside of the kingdom, VERYYYY said. What? Moon asked, having been counting on the other queens backing her and not siding with Meteora. By law of the Nile Galaxy, when something happens like this, unless it spreads outside and causes more conflict, I cannot act, VERYYYY explains. And you're not going to kill off all the Mumens? Hippolyta asked Meteora, who still has the lasso of truth on her. I'm giving them a way out, leave the kingdom for good, Meteora said. Sorry Moon, but she is in the right and is giving your people a way out that won't end in loss of life, Celestia said to Moon, who is in shock. She is the true heir of the throne, Serenity adds. And the way non-humans are treated around here, really isn't winning me over to side with you, Agatha said, having visited before and didn't like how the people of the kingdom treated her and her family. The Magic Commission replacing the heir to the throne just because she's not fully human, also doesn't help, Marion said. We couldn't let a monster rule, Omnitraxus Prime said. Which you and the other 2 members aren't human at all. Many of us rulers here, rule over kingdoms and empires that have many races. And the monsters aren't hostile beings like in my world. They can be reasoned with, and unlike in my world, weren't created for the sole purpose to be the minions of an evil overlord, Queen Zelda said. Of course the influence of the Magic Commission hasn't helped one bit. Who refuse to change their mindsets, Marlena said, eyeing them. Oh good, I can test the new power drainer, Lark made to deal with very powerful magical beings, Queen Torrent said, and looks to Ysira and Celestia. Ysira and Celestia, I need your help, seeing how you Ysira helped to kill a god with your power, and Celestia, you being the oldest and knowing many powerful magic spells, can help me drain their magic, like I did with Mina. Mina Loveberry had powered up and tried to attack, but was stopped by Torrent using the anti-magic crystal Lark made to deal with magical powered beings. The results was turning her back to what she was before, when she willingly took part in the Solarian experiments that turned her into an uncompromising super soldier. Which removed her sense of empathy and gave her an overdriven instinct to kill or conquer any non-human she encounters. She still has the mindset, as she's been like that for too long now, but she now is powerless. But we're made out of magic, you drain us of magic and we die, Romulus said. You're talking like that's a bad thing. Having you three around who will replace the rightful heir if they're not fully human, made worse as you three aren't human and are just like the monsters you hate, Queen Rainbow said. The Magic Commission are too much of a risk to have around, can't trust them, Queen Helia said. Wait, you guys can't just decide to get rid of us, Hecapus said. You're right about that, you are a part of the governing government of this kingdom, Queen Ursa said. But as Queen of Muni, I can, Meteora said and turns to Discord. Seal them away like they did with my parents. That I can do, Discord said, producing 3 glass bottles. Bottles meant to hold genies. More than enough to hold them. With a snap, Discord SCK all 3 members of the Magic Commission into the bottles. Where they found their powers don't work, leaving them trapped inside. Good, they can stay in there, Meteora said, smiling as she using the magic wand to open a portal and drop them into an empty pocket dimension, for safekeeping. Come dear, it's time for us to free your father, Eclipsa said, who has been watching and held the magic book. Yes, and I'm giving you 24 hours to leave, or face my wrath, Meteora said to former Queen Moon, who felt faint from all that's happening. Not the outcome you were hoping for, Discord said to Glossaric. Can't be helped, Glossaric said, looking to Izuku. Him appearing in this dimension had changed everything. What are you talking about? Star asks, who are standing with the other kids. Glossaric, here had been planning on a long-term plan. But thanks to Izuku, he changed everything from what would have happened. Like that Marco boy who you were staying with on Earth. In an alternate universe where Izuku never showed up, Marco would have been your boyfriend, instead of him and Jackie getting together. Or Tom getting together with Jana. MXYZPTLK in his dimension, can access different dimensions, like ones where we're all nothing more than works of fiction. And I watched the shows and saw how they would have ended if you Izuku never showed up, Discord explains. That figures, been to worlds that had people I know from shows and books as real people, Izuku said. Wait, that means, I'm not actually a princess and my family were never meant to rule, Star said as she isn't related to Eclipsa. She looks to Izuku, lost for words about what he thinks of her now. It doesn't matter to me. You're still the hyper girl who helped me when I first showed up in your world, Izuku said. Star smiles, seeing that Izuku still cares for her. Well, there is your dad's side of the family, but you're more of a noble woman, Discord pointed out. What now? We're banished from the kingdom, but where will our people go? River asks, supporting his wife, who is devastated by how the other queens took Meteora's side. Star, you still have those special dimensional scissors? Izuku asked, having thought of something. Yes. Star said. I have an idea, Izuku said. Dragon hunters. A massive elephant-size red-scaled dragon came running out of the tree line and into open ground. Behind the dragon is Frida using the Shingongwu, Fifi's Iogo, which transforms into a gigantic mutt big as the dragon that she's riding on to give chase. Behind the Fifi's Iogo is a massive polar bear, running on all fours as it chases the dragon. Frida is using a laser gun, hitting the large dragon, driving it onwards. A metal-lined ship, a sloop, came bursting down from the clouds high above, firing a large harpoon which struck the dragon's head, killing it in one blow. Frida and the polar bear stop, seeing their target dead and being reeled in as the flying ship lowers itself down to the ground. The polar bear changed back to Hilda. She's been using the Shingongwu, polar paws that turns the user into a polar bear that has the ability to withstand extremely cold temperatures and is a large and powerful bear. The flying ship is flying thanks to the Shingongwu, longikite that allows the user to fly through the air. Where the hot air balloon would have been is where the magic item is, letting it fly faster and carry heavier weight for a ship of its size. The ship, the Swan, a sloop, belongs to Zoria, the only female dragon hunter of the world in the sky of floating islands. Manned by her crew of 4 Mr. Handies, who come in different colors, red Spike, blue Tyke, yellow Harry, and white Copper. They maintain the ship. Copper is the ship's doctor and Harry is the cook. Beth and Frank, the two assault-ron robots, both are armed with a head laser and electrified hands. Beth has a Gatling gun on her left arm, Frank has a missile launcher on his left arm. They help Zorya on her hunts. There is also a dozen iBots, who are numbered 1 through 12, acting as scouts and help in finding dragons and help hunting with their lasers. And Apple, the lone protectron who takes the wheel of the ship, he's also armed with lasers hands. Zorya gained the Swan, thanks to Izuku's crew of robots building it for her. With a fabricator and other technologies that helps Zorya on her travels. The robots are kept powered by the portable generator that uses biofuel to run, which the fabricator can make. And armed with advanced weapons, has allowed her to take on many more dragons that she would normally be able to do. On the ship with Zorya are Hilda and Frida, 3 friends. David, a naive boy who befriends Hilda when she moves to the city. David's a bit of a coward and somehow always has a bug on him somewhere. Louise is a quiet and introverted kid who keeps to herself, but is also highly observant. And Twig, Hilda's loyal deerfox companion. The robots went to work and cut up the dragon into easier to transport pieces. With them pulling out a Shingongwu that has the appearance of a scorpion with a sand-brown body and a red tip on its tail. The Emperor Scorpion, the user to control all other Shingongwu, including multiple Wu constructs like Mala Mala Zhang. It must have thought it was a real bug and ate it, David said, holding the newest Shingongwu their group has found. That's the Emperor Scorpion, it can control other Wu, Louise said, checking it off on the list on her iPhone. I remember Izuku saying he lost that Wu during a storm, Zorya said. How many Wu does that make? Hilda asks. From what we found, 5, Frida said. Using tracking magic and opening a portal to other worlds, Frida and Hilda have been searching for Izuku. The Shingongwu that he gave both of them, has allowed them to narrow the worlds by tracking the magical energy of the Wu he has. Of course they did end up on the world where the Wu came from in different versions of it. Which is why they used the iBots they gotten from Izuku to scout the world first. So far they found the Imo Gazer, let its user instantly put an opponent into a deep sleep. Which was floating in space for some reason. Kid Cosmic. Glove of Jisaku, allows the user to attract any object toward themselves like a magnet, including other Shingongwu. Found on the ground of a futuristic world where buildings are on tall pillars highs above the ground for some reason. The Jetsons. Heart of John, brings inanimate objects to life. Found in a superhero world, inside a pawn shop. Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Rooster Booster, greatly enhanced the powers of other Wu. Found in a world in the early 1900s in a place called United States, brought from a traveling snake oil salesman, Nigel West Dickens. Red Dead Redemption. And the Monarch Wings, allows spiritual bodies to roam the earth physically without needing to possess others. Found in the hands of a king and queen, Maximo and Sophia, who knew Izuku. He had helped save the kingdom, from evil King Akil, who was once the wise and trusted advisor of King Maximo. Something drove him into power-hungry madness and longing to rule. Wielding a magic staff, he can summon the dead to do his bidding and ordered the construction of the Soul Drill, a massive machine digging all the way into the realm of the dead, so that he could gain more power through souls and create an endless army of living dead. Who was being controlled by a demon. Hilda and Frida were helped by the Sorceress Council, Lenore the Graveyard Sorceress, Mamba Marie the Jungle Sorceress, Aurora Lee the Ice Sorceress, and Sophony the Desert Sorceress. They used their more powerful magic to help narrow the search for Izuku, using the Wu that once were in his hands to track him, using the ones that they already have. As a thanks for bringing Sophony back to life from being a spirit, using both the Monarch Wings and the Rooster Booster to increase the first power, so that Sophony's spirit body becomes flesh and BLD. With some help from Maximo, who gave the girls a death coin. Both Hilda and Frida also couldn't help notice that all the women they have seen are all uniformly buxom and attractive, with the sorceresses, wearing clothes that show off their buxom bodies. Maximo video game. Not that useful, but more Wu we have, the better we can find Izuku, Frida said. So are you coming? Hilda asks Zoria who like her and her friends also want to find Izuku. Apple set course for the Snoring Dragon Inn. I need to say goodbye to my family first, Zoria said. The inn has changed since Izuku came to this world, it now has power and running water for one. With useful devices and gadgets that raise the standards of living in the inn. With Guizdo, being the only one who can read being the mechanic for the inn, seeing how he's the only one who can understand the instructions to keep everything running. He, Lian Chu, and Hector still go dragon hunting, but he has made himself out as a man of wonders, selling the stuff that the fabricator at the inn makes as his own creations. Her adopted mother Jeanline, is still running the inn but with the help of the new robot staff. With Jeanline still letting Guizdo and the others stay at the inn, as long as they keep all of the machines running, that is. She really doesn't understand how the devices work, with the only ones she knows are the ones for the kitchen. Zaza has been learning from one of the Mr. Handys and becoming skilled in taking care of the robots, helping Guizdo when he's working on stuff. Well, it's not like I can't reopen a portal to here. Now that I know it, I can open a portal here anytime I want, Frida said. But isn't it draining? David asks. Yes, but as long as I don't need to do it repeatedly. I can recover, and the magic staff, the sorceresses gave me, helps a lot in the strain of opening a portal, Frida said, holding the magic staff the 4 older magic users gave her. A metal staff with a Japanese stone lantern-like top, that glows yellow when it's being used to amplify Frida's magic. Allowing her to cast spells faster and more powerful, with less strain on herself. It's good to know, Zoria said, as her mother, hearing that Hilda's group are looking for Izuku, said that she should join them in searching. As she knows that she's in love with Izuku and was hoping for him to settle down and marry her daughter. Which the thought of he marrying Izuku, is an idea that she doesn't mind at all. Princess Zelda with her handmaidens, Elle and her sisters, Rose, Teal, Lapis, Sienna, Violet, and Marigold, are in her room in the embassy. Elle and her sisters have been learning about Hyrule culture and other things about the kingdom. That they need to know to be Zelda's handmaidens, the personal servants of the princess who handle her needs. There also have Zelda's new bodyguards, the ninjas from Gessen Girls Academy, who pride themselves on strict discipline and purity of spirit. Yumi, a busty gray-haired girl and leader of the group. She's the granddaughter of Kurakage, the rival of the legendary ninja Hanzo. As the snow in her name would suggest, she has a cool personality. Her parents encountered a ninja and were quickly disposed of. Along with the other girls at Gessen Academy, she was raised by Kurakage. Utilizing the movements of her skill in Japanese dancing, she attacks using ice techniques and use fans as her weapons. Murakumo, a busty brown-haired girl who keeps it in a ponytail. The daughter of the Taro Corporation CEO. Due to her shy personality, she wears a mask to hide her face. With the mask on, however, she becomes very bloodthirsty. In the event where she isn't wearing her mask, because of her introverted personality and shy nature, she gets very nervous and speaks extremely fast. She will use anything to hide her face, even garbage bags. Her weapons are a spear and large cleaver. Swinging the cleaver downwards very quickly results in an extremely heavy blow. She also has the ability to summon her pet wolf, Daigoro, along with other wolves, in her ninja arts. Yazakura, a busty girl with short blue hair. She has a very serious demeanor and isn't very good at understanding jokes. She doesn't approve of twisted things, nor things that get out of hand. When she comes across either of these two things, her home dialect/accent unintentionally comes out. On both hands she wields special gauntlets that change size and cover her hands and wrist. Heavy blows are her specialty. She's the oldest of 12 brothers and sisters. With her mother killed during a mission as a shinobi, she had to raise her young siblings by herself. After her father's death a year later, however, Yazakura was separated from her relatives. After escaping, she met with the MSTR Kurakage and he told her, "I'll give you the strength to protect what is important to you." She accepted with the condition that she gets to reunite with her brothers and sisters again. Thanks to becoming Zelda's handmaiden, she has been reunited with her brothers and sisters, who? Shiki, a blonde busty girl with long hair. She speaks like a gal girl and gets into things easily, as well as her ninja friends. She has a lot of friends that she likes to hang out with and won't pass up the opportunity to go shopping. Despite her appearance, she is very studious and IT savvy. Wielding a disc-shaped scythe larger than her body, her flashy attack style involves hacking foes and summoning bats. Shiki also specializes in poisoning her adversaries. Minori, a brown-haired busty girl who keeps her hair in pigtails. She loves to play around/enjoy herself and is a simple-minded child. Yazakura diligently tries to discipline/teach her manners. Using a bucket and frying pan, her attacks are tricky, it looks as if she's using magic. All of them are also learning about the culture and land of their new employer, having much to learn. And how Izuku has helped in the rebuilding efforts. Because of the 100 years of the rise of the Calamity Ganon and the reawakening Demon King Ganondorf, causing the upheaval, an event that sent Hyrule Castle into the air, opens many chasms to the world below Hyrule, and causes numerous Zonai ruins to descend from the sky as floating islands. For years afterwards ushered an era of impoverishment across Hyrule, its inhabitants and resources largely spent fighting the two world-changing events. The people of Hyrule live frugally in order to survive, and fill their days with distractions like bars and simple amusements. It's the reason why Queen Zelda married Ronan, the second prince of the Alundra Kingdom, from across the sea, to establish good relationships with the kingdom and have connections to other lands. Even with the monsters now unable to come back to life with the end of the BLD moon, letting the races of the kingdom to fight back and retake lost lands. There was still years of damage and ruins that needed to be rebuilt from the two events. Bringing in traders and people from other lands to the kingdom, which is how Link, the hero of Hyrule, met his wife, Malon, a busty, rough and buff redhead who came to start a new life for herself as a rancher. Who is strong enough to carry Link around when she needs him to go with her. They have two daughters, Romani, who is around Princess Zelda's age, and Cremia, who is 9. The cottage on the milk and cheese farm where Link lives with his family is simple. It's furnished with hand-crafted furnitures from the local carpenters. The number of trinkets from his adventures also decorated the cottage. Link also makes a living building Zonai vehicles, which has allowed people to travel faster and further than they would have been able to by horse. The stables are still in use for those who still use horses, as the vehicles do need Zonai energy to run, which needs Zonai to be mined and refined by a steward constructed a crystal refinery. Which can only be found either on Sky Island where the temple is located or in the depths, resulting in a limited number being around. That was till Izuku showed up wounded and nearly dead, where he was found by Link, who nursed him back to health. With all the different technologies that Izuku had scanned on his travels from one world to another, he shared it all with Link to repay for helping him. There are now thermal power plants at Death Mountain using the hot springs to create ion cubes that are used to create batteries that power the new vehicles made to use them, as well as providing the Gorons with power. The Zoras, using the natural waterfalls and the dams they already made, use hydroelectric power to power their realm. Solar panels and wind towers found in many places around the Gerudo region. And bioreactors using organic waste to make power, as well as indoor plumbing and other gadgets that made life easier, like new farm equipment. Even the technologies of the ancient Sheikah and Zonai, the robots, the guardians and constructs now under control, thanks to Izuku's AI able to reprogram them, helped to rebuild the destroyed kingdom. The ancient Sheikah technology were dismantled after Calamity Ganon was defeated, so that they couldn't be used against them like last time. Which are now being rebuilt with the new technology so they couldn't be corrupted like last time. And because of Izuku, the land is recovering much faster, Zelda said to her group of handmaidens. Interesting, but I got to know, why are pots used so much around here? Yazakura asked after finding out that the pots around here are used to contain things. Oh, that. Turns out Hyrulean craftsmen carefully crafted even everyday objects like their earthenware pots and decorated them with elaborate designs that families passed from generation to generation. They used the pots to carry water, and store food and valuables. Because of so many pots around they're used as containers, with only chests being used for large items, Violet said. Oh, Yazakura said. But what about using gems as currency? Shiki asks, holding a bottle cap-sized green rupee in her hand. Actually, I have no idea. People just always been using rupees instead of a flat disc with pictures on both sides, or paper money. They are everywhere and is the reason why we use them. But with banks opening up, people are using checks instead of lugging around gems everywhere, Zelda said, walking to a bookshelf with many objects on it. Like in Equestria, where Sunset comes from, they use bits, gold coins and gems as currency because of how common they are over there. And that gems actually grow out of the ground and rocks. But dragons do hoard and eat them, Rose adds as Zelda looks for something and came back holding a small wooden chest. With Lark taking almost all of the treasures that Izuku had picked up during his travels. He had some leftover that she didn't take, Zelda said, opening the chest and emptying the contents out on her bed for Olive to see. Inside the chest was some coins that formed a pile on her bed. Some of the coins came in silver and gold, which had a Roman theme to them. The silver ones had a head of a man on one side and 3 men on the other side. The inscriptions on the coins are in Latin, Caesar Dictator, meaning Dictator Caesar, or Absolute Ruler Caesar, on the front, and Magnum Chasma, meaning Great Abyss or Great Fissure, on the back. The gold coins have an older-looking man on one side and a bull on the other. The inscriptions in Latin again reads, Aeternit Imperi, meaning, for the eternity of the empire, on the front, and Pax per Bellum, meaning, peace through war, on the back. The other coins are all silver that have a scroll, sword, and key, on one side and an angel with all 3 items on the other side. The Roman-like coins are from the world where all those robots he can make came from. The others are from wreckage from a battle that happened in a world where a floating city had attacked New York, before they were shot down by the military, Zelda explains. Speaking of Sunset, seeing how she's been inviting everyone to join in on the fun she and her girls have been having. Are we going to be joining? Violet asks suddenly, and causing Zelda and a number of the other girls in the room to blush red. You want to join in on having SEC? Yumi asked. Well, we're going to be doing it later. There's no way that Izuku can have SEC with all of us at once, and taking turns like when we sleep with him is one way. Having SEC with the other girls is something we can do, and Lark is planning on showing that she's the top girl by dominating all of us in the bedroom, Violet said. That's true, but I'm just not ready yet, Zelda said, blushing. Suit yourself, Violet said as she held up a stamina potion she made herself. This should give me the edge I need. The potions that can be made using the ingredients found around Hyrule, is the biggest trade item they have to the other kingdoms. Which is why farms that grow different ingredients are popping up everywhere. Even farms that raise some of the less intelligent monsters, Octoroks, Keys, Chuchus, are popping up, where they're harvested for their parts. Even the 3 spirit dragons, Dinral, Nadra, Farash, are being harvested. Once a month robots are sent to groom them, removing old scales, smooth out their horns and remove any odd growths on their spikes. The dragons seem to enjoy it and never do anything to stop the robots. The parts that Link collected from the Light Dragon, which was Queen Zelda who shallowed a secret stone in the ancient past so that she could live to the present day, are all kept sealed away till they're needed. The potions made from them are very potent, but only to be used when nothing else works, as the only way to get more is for Queen Zelda to turn herself into a dragon again. You shouldn't drink the potions too much. The toxic backlash from drinking too much at once will hit you and leave you bedridden, till your body recovers on its own, Zelda reminds Violet. Like taking too much medicine at once, it will only harm you, Sienna said, who has taken to potion making like a duck to water. Where is Izuku anyways? Elle asks. He's with Star helping her with the new kingdom being built, Zelda said, and looks to Rose, who has been stuffing herself with Hatino cheese. Also, you've been eating lots of that lately. What? It's good, and it was your Uncle Link who introduced me to it, Rose said. Yes, Uncle Link loves cheese, and with the portals to other worlds has been looking for more kinds of cheese, Zelda said. Her Uncle Link is the one who found the letter that had the recipe in how to make cheese, that was written by the grandfather of Koyan who opened the Hatino cheese shop which spread out over the years. Thanks to her uncle who loves to eat it. Cyberpunk 2077. A Chevelin emperor named the Edge Runner that's heavily modified with all sorts of awesome doodads, including a retractable roof, front-end ram bars, a manned roof turret, and a grappling hook cannon. The owner, a man named Falco, is driving on the road of the Red Peaks region of the Badlands, heading for the CWD recycling center. He got a message from someone who he long thought dead. Rebecca had sent him a real sealed letter, which was hand-delivered by Rebecca herself to Wakako Okada, fixer for Westbrook, operating out of Japantown. Who was as surprised as Falco when the now 9-foot-tall Rebecca had walked into her office with a bucket of Real fried chicken along some eddies for the letter. Rebecca explained that her new employer had found her head in the dump in a preserve jar and brought her back to life. She is missing some memories, but she remembers enough of her old life and wants to find her old crew. And she's doing it the old-fashioned way to make sure that no one can just listen in. Falco, upon going down to Wakako's office to get the letter, learned about Rebecca's new boss, Dr. Barbara Babs Blight, and why he's heading to the recycling center to meet his old friend. He sent a message to Lucy Kushinada, using her old drop boxes, but he hasn't heard from her in years. As he drives on the dirt road, he couldn't help but notice how clean the land scrap has gotten since Cyclonian waste disposal came to the city. Harold Bage, the owner, has gotten contracts to clean up the city with his army of robots that collect them. He also opened up smaller recycling centers where people who sorted out trash can drop them off for some money. Even gotten the Aldecaldos and Nomad clan to SCRT shipments to depots and as muscle to keep troublemakers from messing around with the garbage trucks. Who also find old wrecks and abandoned vehicles and after salvaging any useful parts, sell them to the recycling center. Resulting in Night City becoming much cleaning than it was before. Reaching the center, Falco talked with the guard at the employee entrance to the office complex part of the center. Telling the guard about having a meeting with Rebecca, and the guard called it in. A small drone flew over that had a screen on it, showing Rebecca's face. Falco, good to see you again, Rebecca said, and the drone turns to the guard. Let him in. The guard opened the gate and Falco drove in, parking his car and headed to the office. Stepping inside the lobby, he saw the receptionist, a young-looking black woman in a suit and wearing glasses, working on her terminal. The name tag she's wearing says Miss Foxworth. Hearing heavy footsteps, Falco turned to see a giant bending down to get through a doorway. The face is Rebecca with the same hairstyle of 2 ponytails, but she's now a giantess. She's wearing black overalls, the same style of jacket she wore before, a black, kitsch, high-collar jacket with green accents that go down below her waist that's been left half-zipped, and black boots. Unlike her old body, her new body is both very muscular and busty. Falco, good to see you, Rebecca said. Is it really you? Falco asks, looking up at Rebecca. It's me, just with a new body. Which I decided to be big unlike my old one, Rebecca said. I saw your body and a part of your head was missing, Falco said. Blight put me back together. Come on, I can explain on the way to the lunchroom. Also, you talked to Lucy? Rebecca asked. Left some messages, but haven't talked to her in years, Falco said, walking with Rebecca. I heard that the cafeterias of the workplaces of CWD serve real food. They sure do. You should have seen Wakako's face when I dropped that bucket of fried chicken in front of her, Rebecca said. So why am I here? Falco asks. Got a job in mind, and having the old gang to help out would be like old times, Rebecca said. Elsewhere. In a meeting room, Harold watched the footage from the cameras of Rebecca trying to recruit one of her old crew. Silverhand wanted to get his revenge on Arasaka and find out what happened to Alt Cunningham. Which Harold is more than willingly to cut him loose to do so, as it's all a part of the plan that his boss has for this world. Getting the remaining members of a legendary crew, who will help Silverhand when he and V have their new bodies. Will serve as a distract while we get to work, Harold said to the people in the seats at the table. The people are from a world that was left in ruins after the evil genius Emma had destroyed it and most of its people with her hate plague. She was the former head spymaster for SABRE and later HMR. Emma saved the world countless times, until the day she failed. While the Overlord ruled, she marshaled her resources and prepared for afterwards. But when order was restored, the world slid back into its status quo. Emma was horrified. Then, furious. Then, resolute, the world didn't need her to save it. It needed her to end it. Then scouts of the Cyclonian Empire found the world and started striping it for resources and technology, finding survivors. Who are now all working for the Cyclonian Empire now and are helping Harold in the plans for this world. Atomic Olga, after the global takeover ended, HMR decided to prepare for the event of another evil genius. They created a super soldier program, and its sole survivor was Olga Nikiforova, forever known as Atomic Olga. But despite her super strength and toughness, Olga was unstoppable long before the program. Symmetry, no one knows the true name of the MSTR rogue Symmetry. She was an independent operator, sneaking and spying all on her own and leading the intelligence community around by the nose. ANVL got tired of trying to chase her, and so offered her a deal: if she stole for them, they'd bankroll her. Janet Baum, a criminal hacker and true last name remains a mystery, but press branded her with the Baum moniker after she dismantled a British wartime decryption machine and sold its secrets to the highest bidder. Janet's love for taking things apart has a tendency to backfire, however, and a particularly explosive encounter has left her with a permanent magnetic field. Only the degausser she keeps strapped to her back prevents Janet from erasing any data she touches. Fugu Furukawa, her family's sushi house, was in deep financial trouble. Desperate, she took a job, poisoned the local Yakuza boss with some of her sushi so that his second-in-command could take over, and all her debts would be forgiven. She served the deadly sashimi, and found herself debt-free. The woman known only as Full Metal Jackie is an Australian Air Force vet who saw that selling weapons was a lot more profitable than using them. She sets up shop wherever there's a war zone, or maybe it's the other way around. She's ticked off a lot of folks over the years, but she doesn't mind. Full Metal Jackie will happily make an enemy if she can make a sale. Deep Six is a MSTR diver of JAWS. He's also the only MSTR diver of JAWS, a responsibility that stretches him quite thin. Shipwrecks, oil spills, endangered whales caught in a maelstrom, no matter the situation, the first responder is always Deep Six. Espectro, little is known of the man who's come to be known as Espectro. What is known for sure is that they grew up somewhere in SMASH territory, and from an early age they developed a fascination with the heroes and super agents who once liberated the world. Espectro is theorized to have a scientific background. The hard light projection technology he uses is too sophisticated for just anyone to use. But it's unknown if he worked on it during its development, or simply acquired the skills after he discovered the tech for himself. Espectro first came to the attention of SMASH by using his technology to turn a gang on each other. While they tore themselves apart fighting against their own shadows, he stood back and patiently watched. That was when he realized that even a false story could have power in the real world. Espectro is a patient and methodical planner. His schemes often take years to come to fruition. Heists and suspicious activity that seem unconnected will collide in the most unexpected ways when they're revealed to be part of something larger. His long-term strategic thinking is unparalleled. Espectro wants to be the greatest hero in the world. He craves that importance and power, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get it. If the world won't let someone like him play the role of the hero, then he will change the world into a stage where he can. And on a screen is Miss Foxworth, who is still in the lobby working as the receptionist. After John Steele's disappearance when the evil genius took over, shook SABRE intelligence to its core. His old section disbanded and its director Emma disappeared. But her secretary, Penny Foxworth, decided the world still needed John Steele. Using the knowledge gleaned from her old boss, she founded a new initiative, the Steele Program. On another screen is Blight, who is in her laboratory. All of you have gotten to know how this world works, very different from your old world. You all have your assignments, the funding and resources are all in place to establish fronts for the real operations. To take this world for all it's worth, Harold said to the group. The new kingdom of Muni is being built on a world where almost all human life was ended by a comet the size of Mt. Everest, hitting it. And thanks to the staggering greed, incompetence and complacency of each and every one of the people who could have stopped the comet, it does just that. Who all tried to escape when the idiotic plan of the billionaire Isherwell failed. To work on a rocket only for the rich and powerful. Which Secundo went and leaked the location of the rocket and told the people that only the rich and powerful are the only ones who are going to be allowed on, and asking the people who are needed to stay behind so that the rocket could launch, why are they staying when they could be the ones leaving with their families, instead of the ones who allowed the end of the world to happen in the first place. Not to mention the ones who were supposed to be on the rocket, are mostly elderly people who mostly have no skills needed to survive on a new planet or be able to repopulate the human race. It was just a way to extend their limited lifespans just for a bit more. The end result was the rocket being destroyed during the ensuing fight to get on board the rocket. With the MDM president being beaten, raped and torn apart by the angry mob, along with the others who allowed the comet to hit their world. Once the comet hit, almost all life on Earth ended as chunks of the planet was sent into space and the shockwave destroyed everything else. Only those in hardened structures that were made to withstand a nuke were able to survive, and those who were just lucky. Thanks to help from a terraforming ship from the Nile galaxy, that makes or repairs both the land and the atmosphere of planets. Along with help from Sunset, her mother and aunt to put the large pieces of the Earth back together. The planet was quickly repaired in a few days that would have taken centuries on its own. Using the ruined structures as building materials and where the foundations for buildings are already there, the new kingdom is being built. The survivors have been found and invited to join the kingdom, with many taking the invitation while others rather stay where they are. The son of the dead president had survived, having been forgotten by his mother who left him behind in the control room of the failed dumb and never would have worked plan. Who is now living in what's left of the White House, as he's trying to reform the United States with him as the president. Which is just himself, as the whole system that allowed him to have power is gone and the whole social media is gone as well. Once we have this place clean up and running, the new kingdom will run better. A fresh new start, a new society with us cutting the ties of the past behind us, Star said, who is with her handmaidens, Kelly, Higgs, her new ninjas, Kosuzu, Chio, Fuga, Kanon, and Arya. Kosuzu, a busty orange-haired girl, when she reached the age of discretion, she was able to speak to the energy of the earth. There weren't any ninja that could do that. Until middle school she was able to live like an ordinary person. It's her specialty to use her recorder's timbre to manipulate the energy of the earth. Chio, a busty dark-haired girl, a cheerful girl that likes fun things. She likes to cause mischief. Until middle school she lived among boys. She dislikes skirts that restrict movement. Her trumpet acts like a blowgun. Fuga, a long gray-green-haired busty girl, in a school where lots of ninja manipulate the atmosphere, Fuga is at the top of her class. A gentle personality, she's popular for her looks. But she has a unique dialect that is at least not irreparable. By scattering fireworks from the strings on her shamisen, she lets loose a flame attack. Kanon, a busty blue-haired girl, is a crybaby with a cowardly personality. Having masochistic tendencies, she practices only to get caught in a vicious cycle of failure. She wants to prove to herself she can overcome her crybaby habits. She lets out powerful indirect attacks through air vibrations with her taiko drum. Arya, a long black-haired busty girl, has an incredibly ecstatic personality. She likes fun things. Uneventfully living in the past, she gazes toward the future. Things like the occult, urban legends, etc. tend to be romantic to her. She crushes her opponents with gigantic symbols. Her group are riding on a large cart, checking on the building efforts. A large wall has been erected around the kingdom to keep the kingdom safe from any dangers of the ruined world. There are still some animals who survive and they're hungry, as well as survivors of the comet impact. The corn fields have already been planted, which will be used to help repay the debt for the building of the new kingdom to the Nile Empire. The debt to Sunset and her family is much smaller than the debt to the Nile Empire. The use of a terraforming ship is expensive, and even collecting large pieces of the comet that has lots of rare earth elements, the Muni Kingdom would still be owing the Nile Empire for terraforming the planet. To be paid in shipments of food. So why didn't Izuku just taken us to a world that was empty? Higgs asked, driving the cart. Scanning the worlds that didn't have human life on them, revealed some intelligent life forming or having non-humans living there. And with Muni's history with non-humans, Izuku didn't want to risk it. Worlds where the people are already rebuilding. Other worlds have their own problems. All the zombie worlds are off limits, as even if all the zombies are gone, all it would take is someone finding the virus somewhere to have it start all over again. As with other virus worlds, and worlds like where Izuku's robots came from. This world is the only world that he visited that is good to claim. There isn't enough native people alive to repopulate on their own, and while the kingdom will be repaying the debt for some time, we're good with the Nile Empire, Star explains. Besides, it's this or be indebted to Lark and her family, who have been exploring worlds for resources and technology, Kelly pointed out. She's the evil princess, right? Cannon asked. Yup, and she would hold the debt over me for the rest of my life, Star said. And have your head between her legs, Higgs said. Yeah, Star said, her face turning red as she and everyone else knows all about how Lark has been having SEC with her handmaidens, Sunset and her handmaidens, to get the experience to show the rest of the girls the ranking among them. So far she's under Sunset, who just outdoes her in section. And they have gotten Adora and some of her girls to join in, and sooner or later they will get others to join on the orgies. Well, it's going to happen either way. We can't all just pile on Izuku's. He be dead in a month, Kelly said. Where is he anyways? Chio asks. Helping out in the power plants, Star said, looking over the corn fields and to the depot where she and her group will be looking over. Her parents are busy back in the residential areas. While they no longer in their old world, they now have a new place to call home, and with the dimensional scissors could still visit the friendly kingdoms back home. He's really going out and helping wherever he can, Kelly said. Yeah, he does do that, Star said dreamily as she dreams about how she can repay him. Stormhawks. On the world of Atmos, now ruled over by the Cyclonia Empire, a family dinner with the royal family is happening. The current ruler Mstr Buzzer, imposing man, a tactical genius in military might as well as his control of crystal energy, and his wife Queen Torrent, known for her cunning and deception, are listening to their daughter's report on some of her pet projects she has going on in some world she has discovered. Both are proud of how she used her rage of Izuku running away to drive herself to figuring out how to make her own portals, using the technology that Izuku had brought along with him. While she couldn't make the green portal fluid, she could make her own portal machine instead. Which isn't limited in what worlds it could travel to. Like the dimensional scissors from Star's universe could only open portals to the dimensions of that universe and not parallel universe, like going to their world. Like a time machine that can only travel forward in time but not backwards. And with the unlimited power of the magical eye, gave her all the power she needed to open a portal to another universe. Mstr Cyclones is telling her parents about the status of her project in that cyberpunk world. The garbage man is continuing to send shipments of resources and technologies from that world to them. Being a lot cheaper to just recycle the trash of that world than it is to mine and refine raw ones. And is overseeing the new agents to use the chaos that is happening in Night City thanks to that Silverhand fellow is causing. Atomic Olga has gone into the arms dealings, with her own weapon store, Atomic Arms. Selling and buying weapons, allowing a gathering of data of the weapons from arms companies. Symmetry has gotten a stealth suit that turns her invisible and covers her body heat. Has been stealing prototypes and data from the big companies. Janet Bomb has been hacking into companies' databases and running rings around them. Thanks to her not uploading herself into the computer with her mind. Every time they try to fry her, they just get the computer she was using instead. Fugu Furukawa has opened a sushi house that has gotten lots of customers thanks to the fact she serves real fish. She's using her restaurant as a front for her real food back market operation. And using the connections she's making to gather information and contacts. Full Metal Jackie has made her base of operations in a mobile base and gone all Mad Max out in the Badlands that surrounds Night City. Running a smuggling operation, and trading goods to the different nomad clans for valuable technologies and other things that are needed. Deep Six is running an ocean salvaging operation, bringing up lost cargo, wrecks from the depths. Penny Foxworth has become an information broker, gathering information and selling them. Creating a spy network using the cyber bugs to watch and listen to what's going on around the city. Espectro has become a edge runner, a solo, and is quickly making a name for himself with the fixers of Night City who try to hire him for jobs, but he's not in it for the money. With his upgrades to his body and power armor from superhero worlds, has allowed him to tank all but the most heavy firepower, and that's not going with his force field. He has been helping a guy who wants to be a vigilante, a creature of the night dedicated to fighting the darkness of the city from within the darkness, Mercman. Lark has even sent T-Cell Bon and his kids, Tron and Bon, to operate as Ripperdocs. They fit right in that city, where they can move around and people hardly even looks at them. Even Bon with his strange cyber body parts, that just makes him look like a ball with oversized limbs. And Tron is making some money selling toy servbots. Once fully embedded, they be able to keep tabs on what's happening in Night City, keeping up to date with any developments in technology there, Lark said. Isn't the cyber technology of the Nile Empire more advanced? MSTR Buzzer asks. Yes, but I started the project before I found Izuku, and while the technology isn't as good as from the Nile, the resources that world just throws away makes it worth the trouble. And that world might just come up with something that no one has thought of in the Nile galaxy, Lark said. Now, Lark, don't try to outdo Cleopatra. The Nile Empire has been around longer and she has all the advantages of all the work her family has done to build it up for thousands of years. You on the other hand have been the one who advanced our empire forward. Which reminds me, you really need to take a break and just relax. Me and your father can handle things, Queen Torrent said. I have been, since I found Izuku, Lark said. You and your girls having fun with Sunset and her girls, MSTR Buzzer said, well aware of the SEC she's been having with the girls. Yes, Lark said. Sunset and her girls have been having fun with each other much longer and their world has a more SEC-free culture. So even if you haven't been able to show her who is the top girl in the herd, you are still making a strong bond with her. In terms of personal power and strength, Sunset is the strongest. Having her being very friendly with you, will help you in the long run. You two already showed Adora her place in the ranking, under you two. Together you two can do the same to all the other girls, Queen Torrent points out. There is that Chloe girl, who Izuku actually knew loves him, as she just told him bluntly, MSTR Buzzer said. Father, I didn't know that Izuku was that dumb, Lark said. Unlike your father who I had to compete for with others, Izuku needs it to be told bluntly. But that's in the past and he knows now, and if he doesn't, you and the others can remind him how lucky he is to have all of you in love with him and willing to share, Queen Torrent said. You still have those SEC toys I gave you to break him in, right? Yes, and I have used them with the girls. For Izuku, I really don't need to use them on him. I will have plenty of help from the others to show him his place underneath me as I use him as my throne, Lark said. Having him around had really helped you in becoming a better villain, more pragmatic in how you do things. As I did with you, father, Queen Torrent said. Your mother reined in my reckless and impulsives when I was younger, helping me be more focused. Like how Izuku got you to be more focused on putting your energy into improving things around here. And when he left, putting all of that energy into finding him, MSTR Buzzer said. And opening so many new worlds to claim and take resources from as you searched for him, and instead of wasting time and resources on conquering worlds, just going to worlds that are empty of sapient beings. Like how Izuku suggested, Queen Torrent adds. He has that effect on people, Lark said. How about adding Chloe to your handmaidens, MSTR Buzzer suggested. Too late, she's with Cleopatra and her group. But I do have Piper and have the most CC ninja girls, Lark said. As the other girls also have theirs but also other girls to add some variety. Any more girls that are in love with him, you should extend your hand to them, Queen Torrent said. I should, Lark said as her ninjas are more bodyguards and Piper, she is still recovering and Izuku is very sweet on her, which she uses to her own advantage. Having some other girls would help her. The Fire Nation capital, also known as Capital City or Imperial City, is the seat of the government for the Fire Nation. It is home to the Fire Lord, the Fire Nation royal family, and Fire Nation nobility. The city is located on Capital Island, the largest island of the Fire Nation archipelago. The Fire Nation capital is one of the largest settlements in the world. It has a distinct layout consisting of the Royal Plaza, a forum located directly past the First Lord's Harbor, Harbor City, a large district consisting of industrial areas and the homes of mostly lower-class people, and Hari Bulkan, also known as Royal Caldera City, a residential district situated within the crater of a dormant volcano hosting the Fire Nation Royal Palace and various homes of Fire Nation elite. The Royal Palace sits in the center of the caldera, and homes radiate away from the huge square directly in front of the palace. The square is meant for entirety of the population of the capital to gather for royal proclamations and important events. The land immediately surrounding the royal palace is barren and rocky, completely devoid of plant life, making stealthy infiltration nearly impossible. The wall encircling this estate separates the palace from the rest of the city. Outside the defensive perimeter are several lush gardens and villas for use by members of the royal family, filled with appealing plants, trees, and ponds. The palace itself is a single structure, an elaborate tower with triple eaves is at the center, with 3 distinct wings joining it. The 2 smaller wings stand on either side of the main entrance to the palace building. There are towers at the ends of these wings as well. Directly opposite of the main entrance is the 3rd, larger wing, which houses the Fire Lord's throne room. Inside, the palace is comprised of enormous halls and retains an intricate array of wings and chambers. Large tapestries line the walls and elaborate fire-themed images and moldings are laid out all throughout the numerous sections of the structure. In one of the workshops of the palace grounds, now turned into a robot workshop, Azula is watching Tai Li, Tai Lin, Tai Lat, Tai Lao, Tai Lu, Tai Lum, and Tai Wu working on creating their own robots using the robot benches that Izuku created before he left. They're making them to help with the building of the new Muni Kingdom, which is eating up Izuku's time as he's spending much of his free time helping Star. Hi sister, a young girl with brown eyes and hair cried up popping up besides Azula. Ki, Azula said looking down at her younger sister. Ki is the daughter of Ursa and Norin, her mother's childhood love, and younger half-sister to her and Zuko. Born following Ursa's exile from the Fire Nation capital, she initially grew up in Hirae, ignorant of her royal family connections. That was till Izuku found Ursa, who had lost her memory and gotten a new face from a spirit like Norin had done. Now as Ursa reign as queen till Zuko and Mai are ready to take the throne, Ki is learning how to be princess with all the customs she needs to know. What are you doing? Ki asks. Waiting to see what Tai Li and her sisters will make, Azula said. Like the robots I made? Ki asks. Yes, like them, Azula said, thinking of the robots Ki had made and why she's not allowed to make any more. Ki had modeled the robots after dwarves from a story Izuku told her. To help in the taking of the palace while Aang and his team handled the ex-Firelord and his forces. Dock a white Protectron with factory armor, regeneration field, a Protectron left-hand shock, and a right Protectron right-hand laser. Is made to be the doctor, and not meant to fight but is still a strong robot and can use his shock hand as a weapon, and hand laser that it uses to stop bleeding. Happy a pink Protectron with factory armor but for the front frame armor with shoulder lights, sensor array, hydraulic frame legs, a right-hand saw and left-hand laser with a hydraulic frame that has a light on it. Grumpy a gray Protectron with the same armor as Happy but has a right nail gun. Doopy a dark green Protectron with the same armor set as Happy but has a hand hammer. Sleepy a blue Protectron with the same armor set as Happy but has 2 vice grip hands and hydraulic arms. Sneezy a yellow Protectron, with an actuated frame head, a front frame that has shoulder lights, rear factory armor, sensor array, both arms are factory armor drill arms, robobrain treads. Bashful has the same armor set as Sneezy but has 2 construction claws and hydraulic arms. They did help during the invasion, distracting the soldiers and bringing down walls and doors. The problem was that she had made them to be singing robots that sung that hey ho song Izuku taught Ki. Which they sung all the time as Ki got them to sing the song but didn't know how to get them to stop. Which Azula resorted in dismantling the robots to stop them. She did rebuild them but this time without the song. What for? Ki asks. So that they can help Star and Izuku won't have to spend so much time helping her, Azula said. Oh, Ki said. So that's where he's been. Yes, he has been busy helping her, Azula said. Since finding Izuku and learning the truth of what she thought was him asking her to marry him and leaving when she wasn't wearing the dress and jewelry he gotten her. She became a wreck, falling into a depression. And now that she learned that he didn't know and is the idiot type who is completely clueless to love. It'd be nice having him around again, Ki said. Yes it will be, Azula agreed. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, world? In her laboratory in one of the mountains that make up the Himalayas, Dr. Syra Bellum is busy at work. On the table in front of her being analyzed by a number of different machines, is the magic object Shadow of Fear, a bronze bird idol with 2 red eyes. She's been trying to figure out how it works and how to make more. A while ago former Vile student, Carmen Sandiego was accompanied by a young man named Izuku Midoriya, helping her and her team in stopping Vile plans. He used advanced technology and equipment which allowed Carmen and her team to run rings around Vile. Till by chance during an operation, the bookkeeper, Cookie Booker came across the hotel that Carmen and her team was using as a safe house. And while Carmen was away, ransacked the room taking ever that was hidden and kept locked away. Covering her tracks by setting a fire and making it look like an accident. She took a small device called a builder, that allowed anyone to make anything from the preset blueprints it has stored in its memory. Like the fabricator that could make anything in its programming, like any of the devices Carmen and her team have been using. But more importantly she got her hands on 4 magical objects, which Carmen and her team now thought were destroyed in the fire. Fist of Tebagong, allows the user to punch with incredible force capable of quaking the earth. Mikado Arms, makes the user's arms large and muscular, granting them super strength. Shadow of Fear, allows the user to enter into someone's dreams and bring their worst fear to life. Genie Mu, when activated, it would allow the user to bring out the yin/yang personality of the intended opponent but not knowing which side would come out. All 4 having a sticky note on them with their names. Titan's Belt, that increases the strength of the wearer. Breath of Fire 3. Wisdom Ring, that increases the intelligence of the wearer. Breath of Fire 3. Speed Boots, that increases the speed of the wearer. Breath of Fire 3. Which the bookkeeper showed off the faculty members, having learned how to use them. Earning her the empty seat of Shadow-san. Took some time but the new equipment and technology became standard issue for the agents. They're still looking into where the magic items came from and where the technology came from too. The boy Izuku disappeared shortly afterwards, but Carmen had gotten a hold of a magical mask that allowed her to blend in with her surroundings that was picked up by spy cameras. She continued to interfere with their operations, which bookkeeper pointed out that Carmen can only be in so many places at once, so all they have to do is have more than one operation happening at the same time, making her having to choose which one to stop. Bookkeeper also has her own ongoing operation that provides funding for the other operations of Vile. Using the advanced computer system, she created a program that would take the fractions of a penny from all the trade deals that happen in the stock markets. Which no one would miss as the fractions of a cent doesn't show up as numbers, allowing her to gather thousands of dollars daily. A screen turned on and the other faculty members appeared in the screen, Coach Brunt, Professor Maelstrom, and Countess Cleo. Bookkeeper is also there on another screen. The operation has failed and the Genie Mu has been destroyed. The other Shingon Wu, Pearl of Levi, that makes the user's enemies babble poetry non-stop. Has been taken by the authorities, bookkeeper said. What? We gave you a seat at the table and this is how, Coach Brunt growled out but was stopped by Maelstrom. You call it a shingonwu, he asks. After finding the magical objects, Vile has been researching and using all of their networks to figure out where the magic items and technology came from. The only clue is that boy Izuku who disappeared. Turns out that the magic items are shingonwu which all came from a different universe. Like in that old TV show, Sliders where the main lead created a portal device that allows him and the others to travel from one different universe to another. Which is where the advanced technology that the builder has stored in it also came from. That boy Izuku who traveled with Carmen found a portal gun in an alley in his world and has been traveling around trying to find his way back. He helped Carmen and her team for a while before leaving and gifting her the Mask of Rio, that helps the user to blend into the surroundings, bookkeeper explains. And you know this how? Cleo asks as she and the others all stared at bookkeeper. The screen of bookkeeper expanded and showed Carmen right next to her. The genie Mu was destroyed but it did bring out Carmen's inside, more ruthless and loves the thrill of taking from others. She also has all of Carmen's memories and wants to rejoin Vile, bookkeeper explains. A magic clone of Lambkin's? Coach Brunt asks. She and the others know that the genie Mu can make magic clones of others that either are nicer and meeker than the original or meaner and nastier. They've been using it to get information from targets without having to go through the trouble of kidnapping them, once they learned the range of the genie Mu. And just used it again to make the clone disappear. And with the genie Mu destroyed, she can't just be puffed away, bookkeeper said. The name's Rayette, means Queen of Sheep. Rayette San Diego, the magic clone introduced herself to her old family. And I have lots to tell you about what my sister learned when she came across Izuku stepping through a portal one day. The walled city of Trollberg has seen many strange things since it was first built and the wall was erected around it. The great raven that appears during the bird parade, a ghost ship flying through the city, a kraken that lives in the harbor and the new tradition of letting the trolls in the city so that they could speak with their mother who is a giant troll underneath the city. Futuristic technology that has brought such marvels like robots now found throughout the city, thanks to a boy who was searching for a way home. Now there's a new site that appeared in the city, a small floating island where a building could be found on it, the Snoring Dragon Inn. The island is floating above the bay at the shoreline several feet above the water, which has several cables attached to the island to keep it from moving around and a ramp built to allow people to get to the floating island that has become a hot spot for tourists. The inn is still open but mainly serves as a restaurant, with a gift shop and robot workers to serve the customers. Zoria walks into the inn by the back door followed by Lianchu, both are dressed in brown overcoats, black pants, a cape, purple boots, and a purple hat with a wide brim, yellow band and a white feather. Showing that they're a part of the Trollberg Safety Patrol. They joined after they and the island the inn is on were all teleported to another world. How was work? Jeanline asked busy in the kitchen. She's putting a roast into the oven as the other cooks all Mr. Handy robots work around her. With the inn turning more into a restaurant than an inn, the kitchen has become more modern due to the health code laws of Trollberg. A female Nis who moved into the inn and employed as a worker is handing out ingredients to one of the Mr. Handy cooks from his nowhere space. During the interview where the Nis, Tanta would be allowed to live in the inn as a worker, she also has to use her nowhere space as extra storage. A Mr. Handy carries a serving tray into the dining room where customers are either eating or waiting to be served their orders. Boring as normal, Zoria said. We had to deal with Woodman. Had to find his body after his head was knocked off, again, Lianchu said. It's so boring here and the only dragon is the lindworm, Zoria said. The lindworm is friendly enough and Hector is friends with him, Geneline said. Besides we can't return home. Not with that queen after us. It was a good thing that you came back when you did. Is Zaza doing okay? Zoria asks. Yes and is enjoying going to the school and making friends, Geneline said. But now she wants to become a witch. It was thanks to Frida that we got away, Lianchu said. When Zoria and the others arrived back at the inn, it was under attack by soldiers from the Bismuth Kingdom. They were sent by the greedy queen to get the technology that Guizdo had been selling and wasn't willing to just buy it off of him. The robots and defenses that Guizdo made was keeping the soldiers at bay, but Zaza was already wounded by an arrow in the back. Frida used the portal spell to send the entire island to her world, which left her weak and unable to use magic till she recovers on her own. They rushed Zaza to a hospital where she was treated and recovered from the arrow wound. And learned about the new world they're in and started new lives, as they couldn't return to their world. Guizdo working late? Zorya asks. Yes, since he got that job working at the robot dealership, he's always working, Geneline said. And bringing in money, Zorya said, as they had to convert the coins they had into the currency of this world. A steady paycheck is nice, but this world's still strange from ours, Lianchu said. The whole going to another world is on hold till Frida recovers. Kaisa the librarian said that she's lucky not burning herself out with what she did, Zorya said. Be a while till you find Izuku. I hope you find him soon, Geneline said. Me too, Zorya said. Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir World. In the bathroom of Chloe's old room in the hotel her father owns, in the shower Izuku is once again hand-washing the slender body of Piper, who has become better thanks to treatments from the Nile Galaxy Empire. The doctors there are studying her condition and learning how to treat it in case of something like the crystal sickness happens again. She has finally gotten the limb braces off and is learning to move around without them. Her muscles having atrophied from disuse, after wearing the limb braces and wearing her life support system for so long. Helping Izuku in washing is Chloe, who now has her new body, which has been improved upon and is healthier and better than her old one. Her new body is more buxom than her old one, but not as buxom as some of the other girls, as she would be growing into the buxom beauty her body will become as she grows older. And with her new body she's spending time with Izuku, even if she is still getting used to how close he and the other girls already are with each other. Like being comfortable in bathing with each other. You're a fast learner, Piper said as her chest was soaked by Chol. An upgrade I had done to this new body. Have a logic coprocessor implant, allows me to take in more information and utilize it better, Chloe said. I know that implant, it's from the world where Dr. Mobius is from, Izuku said. A hypertrophy accelerator for strength, optics enhancer for sight, nociception regulator for endurance, empathy synthesizer so she can better interact with people, reflex booster for movement, probability calculator to see what the odds are, phoenix monocyte breeder for regeneration, Cleopatra said, who is naked and waiting for her turn in the shower. Heavy bone, muscle and skin weaves, reinforcing the skeleton with a synthetic weave, bones can be made almost unbreakable. In the event of bone trauma, Medigel conduits allow for bone regenerations in a matter of days. Perforating the muscles with microfibers increases overall strength and decreases the potential for muscle damage from exertion. And strong synthetic fibers can be woven through the skin, dramatically reducing damage taken from most attacks. These fibers also act as a Medigel conduit, improving healing. I'm on the same level as Supergirl and Wonder Woman now, thanks to all the upgrades done to my new body. Allowing me not only be Cleo's aide but also bodyguard, Chloe said. What about us? Leo asks as she and her fellow ninjas are in the other room watching TV. You girls are too, but I'm the only one here who can tank most firearms without armor or energy shields, Chloe said. You should see Chloe in the training room with the power armor, Cleopatra said as she climbs into the shower. Did the engineers fix the problem with the welding just below the chest plate? Izuku asks, his eyes looking away as Cleopatra soaped up her hands and began soaping up Piper's peach and groin, which she and the other two girls with him smiled, seeing how red his face is becoming. Yes, and are helping with that world. The robots, while less advanced, are made to be very durable and can't be remotely hacked. Mr. House has already making deals and his life support system that has kept him alive is being studied. After learning what happened with Chloe, he is interested in making himself a new body, Cleopatra said. Mr. House has some big plans for his world, Izuku said, having dealt with Mr. House before. Yes, he does, and with what kind of world it is, he can handle it, Cleopatra said as she and Chloe held Piper between them, soaping her up in full view of Izuku, who turns his eyes away. Cheeto entered the bathroom. Chloe, your old classmates are in the lobby, Cheeto said. Of course, Chloe said, frowning. Zoe must have called them, Cleopatra said. They want to see me, Izuku said. Last time he was here, he left with Diana and the others after Chloe was raised from the dead as a ghost. Only stopping by the hotel to see her father before they left. He didn't want to see the others. Yuri is keeping them in place, Cheeto said. I'll deal with them, Chloe said, getting out of the shower. And get dressed, we're going back after this. We're just leaving. Your dad is preparing dinner for us, Cleopatra said. Yes, I know, but knowing them, they sneak in somehow if we stay, Chloe said. We just leave and invite Chloe's dad instead, Izuku said. You really don't want to see them, do you? Piper asked. No, Izuku said. The lobby. Walking out of the elevator, now dressed in her new outfit for her new position as handmaiden to Cleopatra. Consisting of a black body stocking, a white dress with a red sash, as well as a gold necklace and bracelets on her arms. While it doesn't look like it, the body stocking is actually body armor, having cloth-like feel but able to protect the wearer, like the battle suits. Chloe saw Yuri holding Marinette and the others in an energy cage, created by 4 iBots, creating an energy field between them. Around them are adults watching, being kept at bay by the pair of Xerxes, the former robotic foot soldiers of Octavian's empire. Now reprogrammed to serve as guards, that came with the group with the other robots. Yuri released them, Chloe said, walking over to the group. Sure, Yuri said. The force field around the kids disappeared and the iBots returned to Yuri. Zoe, I told you that Izuku doesn't want to ever see the others again. You only got to see Izuku because you were with Dad at the time, Chloe berated her half-sister. What? Zoe asks. You heard me, you being there when Izuku explained how I was going to be brought back to life was only by chance, Chloe said. Chloe, we just want to make up for what we didn't do, Marinette said. I died to save Izuku, you all didn't help or even call the heroes. You can never make up for that, or get a chance to, as we're leaving. All I wanted was to come back and spend some time with Dad, I just have to invite him to the palace instead, Chloe said. Palace? Isla asks. I'm now the head handmaiden of Princess Cleopatra. She's one of the princesses who is going to marry Izuku with so many others. Thanks to the fact Izuku is completely clueless and only knew that I loved him because I told him before I died, Chloe said. You weren't kidding about that? Ivan asked, looking at Zoe. Nope, Izuku managed to get over 100 girls to fall for him. All the girls but Cheeto and Yuri here are in love with him, Chloe said. He's more of a friend, but he could be a friend with benefits, Yuri said. And who said you're the head handmaiden? Someone has to keep everyone in line and no one is stepping up, Chloe said and turns to Sabrina. Sabrina, I am sorry for treating you as I did. I forgive you for not helping me that lead to my death. Everyone else I don't. Can I see Izuku? Sabrina asks. Izuku hasn't forgiven you or wants to see you. Love with it, Chloe said, heading back with Yuri and the robots to her room to return with the others and leaving her old life behind. In the early 2070s, there was an attempt to construct a self-contained residential area in the desert East Night City. Similar to Rancho Coronado, Rocky Ridge was a town developed to be self-sufficient, cozy and practical. Streets were plotted out and houses were built, ready to welcome the workers employed by the businesses located just next door. Plenty of the homes there offered roof for all the families that worked in the nearby highway project, and it would also offer a freeway extension to the town for an easier job commuting. It was aiming to be a choice for people looking for a new place to live, and was advertised as a paradise, guaranteeing quiet and peace, while at the same time being really close to Night City. But like most investments in California, it didn't end well. The nearby businesses went bankrupt shortly after, and at the same time construction became too expansive. Soon, the town was no longer economically viable. In just a mere day, the construction workers had disappeared, and contractors had lost their jobs while the houses in Rocky Ridge became vacant as the town was abandoned. That was till the new recycling plants were built and the town was brought up by Cyclonian waste disposal, to house the workers for the new plants. Once the trash was sorted and cleaned, they would be brought to the plants that would turn the plastics, metals and other trash into useful materials and sold to other companies. Causing lots of people to try to get a job and move to the new company town, thanks to the decent wages, healthcare, work hours, and the cafeterias of the recycling plants all serving real food. Causing the employees of the company to be rather loyal, and the other companies find it very hard to get any to work as moles and higher-level employees impossible. The other companies are looking into where CWD is getting all of the real food, in the amount that is allowing them to feed all of the workers with real food. Many other places around Night City have been changing hands and new buildings springing up. And one of those places is where a private party is being held. Harold Bage, the CEO of CWD, is hosting a party and other CEOs are invited. Was owned by the Silver Pixel Corporation, this drive-in theater was the company's facility in Night City, showcasing all the latest movie releases as well as popular classics. For some time, business was good enough for SPC to enlarge the parking lot and allow more customers to attend it. However, during the late 2060s, the corporation went through undisclosed problems that would force them to close a number of theaters across North America during the following years. Although originally the Night City facility was planned to continue functioning, the corporation CEO, Brandon DeLuca, announced a change of plans stating the facility's closure by the end of 2069. Any employee that chose to transfer to another company location was not entitled to severance pay, though the corporation offered them a choice between Silver Pixel facilities in either Rockford or Laredo. This, however, was also temporary, as these locations were also slated to close within the following 6 months. In 2077, Silver Pixel Cloud was an abandoned facility on the eastern hills of Night City. Nevertheless, the theater had not been dismantled, so anyone that got access could power it up to watch any movies still found there, which included Bushido X, Fade to Black. That was till Fugu Furukawa bought the property and opened a sushi house that, unlike the one in Night City, is a high-class restaurant. The restaurant is only open to those who could afford the prices, as all the food is real, for the high-level corporate executives to meet and talk business away from the city. Where there are large aquariums where the fish that would be served to the customers would be taken from and prepared. With the nights that Fugu Works would put on a show, as she would prepare the fish herself with a camera showing off her cooking skill for all to see. The restaurant is made up of 3 levels and a basement. The different levels are for the different customers. The bottom is for the regular customers that can afford the price, with the higher reflecting how rich and powerful they are. The restaurant also has a large stage that are for the bands that play or stage shows, or special events. Which one would be taking place in a couple of weeks? Cyclonian Waste Disposal HQ. Walking into the lobby of the office building at the recycling center is the reporter Max Jones. One of the few true media left in Night City, Max has dedicated his life to exposing corporate corruption. His firebrand reporting and exposure of scandals has placed a heavy price on his head. It's there, after checking in with the receptionist, a young-looking black woman in a suit and wearing glasses working on her terminal. Her name tag she's wearing says Miss Foxworth, who gave him a guest pass. He was personally greeted by the personal aide of Harold Bage, the CEO of the waste management company. Eva, who has modified her body to be a glossy white, with blues eyes, blue lips and metallic blue hair. She wears a blue business suit, a jacket, matching pants, a white button shirt, a black vest, a blue tie, black dress shoes, and a blue wide brim hat. Covering the buxom body underneath, massive melons, and peach that are wider than her shoulders. "Follow me," Eva said in a flat voice. Max followed the aide to the elevator and rode up to the 8th floor of the 10-story building. Once the elevator doors open, Harold Bage was there waiting for his guest. "Welcome, Mr. Jones," Mr. Bage greeted him. "Thank you for the interview," Mr. Jones said as Bage gave few interviews. "With what my workers found. I just needed to get the word out, and I like what you do. You are recording this live, right?" Beige asks. Yes, as you requested right after I got in the lobby, Jones said, his camera glasses broadcasting what he sees live online. Good, now follow me into the trophy room, Beige said, walking to the double doors behind him. Trophy room? Jones asks. You'll be surprised at what people just throw away, not knowing the value it has, Beige said, leading Jones and Eva into the large room. Inside the room is a treasure trove of pop culture history, some that Jones recognizes. The costumes that were thrown away that are still recognizable for those who've seen old movies and TV shows. Old signs and logos of companies that are no longer around or changed over the years. Old game consoles and arcade machines, toys that for some collectors are priceless. A whole section dedicated to Star Trek and Star Wars. As you can see, I collected some very interesting stuff over the years. Digging through the trash that was just thrown away, every now and then I come across something of value like this, Beige said, placing his hand on top of a protective glass case with a wooden violin inside. A Stradivarius? Jones asks, reading at the plaque. For those who know what it is in fact one of the few surviving ones left, Beige said, going to another case. Lord of the Rings? Jones asks, looking at the old books. From the first book, The Hobbit and Return of the King, all first editions, and while worn are still valuable, Beige said, going to the next case. Declaration of Independence? Jones asks, seeing the relict of a fallen nation. A Dunlap broadside copy, the first ever printing of the Declaration, produced by Philadelphia printer John Dunlap when the handwritten copy was brought to him from Congress on July 4, 1776, Beige said. Beige showed Jones an Apple I computer, some raw comics from companies that aren't around anymore, a Roman bust, some rare guns, and other things. Even a shrine to the 007 films of props and equipment used for the films. Beige explains how he loves the old spy films and would love to be the villain in one of them. The buzz online was hot as people around the world are tuning in as more and more treasures were revealed. Many people couldn't believe what was just thrown away. Now here's something that I saved for last and something that many will be offering me plenty for, Beige said, going to a display covered by cloth. Pulling it off, revealed a body that has rotten, frozen in a cryogenic tank. But the face could still be made out, a face that many recognized, being infamous for the fall of the old net. Rake Bartmoss, the most wanted man in the world who just disappeared no matter where people looked around the world. Is that Rake Bartmoss? Jones asks. It is him, had his body check and his DNA matches the records. Which is where the buzz of Rake Bartmoss's DNA showing up in a lab came from. Needed to act fast, so I set all of this up to show the world who has found the most wanted man in the world, who died some years ago after his cryogenic tank that was made to look like a freeze power supply was cut off. And the best part was that he never left Night City. He was here all of this time somewhere before the freezer he was inside of for all of these years, was tossed out in the trash. Where my robots found him and brought him to my attention, Beige explains. What are you going to do with him? Jones asks. He's dead, but his data shard is still there and maybe someone could read it. I have no interest in what the shard holds, but I'm sure that there are governments and companies who are more than willing to pay a pretty sum to get their hands on him, Beige said. Offers have already flooded the network, Eva said in her flat voice. That was fast, Beige said and turns to Jones. The interview is now over, I call the guard to escort you down to the lunchroom. Eat, or take a doggy bag home. Thank you for your time, Jones said, walking to the exit where a guard is waiting for him. He heard about the real food that the employees are served by CWD and how Beige would throw big feasts of real food. Enjoying some real food was a perfect way to celebrate breaking this story. Stormhawk's World. In the private bath of Princess Lark, known as MSTR, Cyclones is having a soak with Piper, who is leaning up against her as both of them soaked in the warm water. Piper is telling Lark all about what happened in the world where Chloe is from, how the old classmates of Chloe had wanted to see Izuku but he didn't want to ever see them again. Leaving the world and having no plans on ever returning, Chloe was upset herself as she had wanted to spend some time with her father, but her half-sister Zoe had spoiled those plans. What of the scans on the bee Kwame? Lark asks. Taken, and the weapons from that superhero will harm them, Piper said. I'll set up a cage for the bee. Chloe's sister will come along with her stepfather when he visits, Lark said. Be careful in how you handle that. Chloe still has some feelings for her sister and the bee, Piper said, leaning back on Lark. How is she doing as a handmaiden? Lark asks. She has made herself the head handmaiden, as none of the others had stepped up. Yuri and Cheeto are the longest-serving handmaidens, but they don't really do much besides following commands from Cleopatra, as well as the ninjas. Chloe has taken command and acts as Cleopatra's personal aide in making sure that the others don't do something to embarrass their princess. And keeps the ninjas from getting any ideas when Izuku washes them, Piper said, giggling as she remembers how embarrassed Izuku got when the ninjas tried to have him do lewd things to them. He was nearly 17 when I met him, by what he had figured. 3 years at most had pasted when he started his journey at 14. Thanks to Zelda's wish to send him back home, he's now 14 again, while the rest of us are older than him, most of us anyways. He's just intimidated at having older girls all over him, and his young body is going through PBRTY again, Lark said. As that would have stopped you, Piper said. The age of consent in Japan is still 14, Lark pointed out. True, but Izuku wants to be married before he has SEC, Piper stated. He does need to grow some bit before he's the size you saw when you sneaked in the bathroom, Lark teased. Can we not talk about that? Piper said, still embarrassed at what happened. That you landed with your face between my legs and face pressed up against my groin, and Izuku behind you having grabbed your peach. Thinking that you're an assassin, and mother hearing the noise came in and saw us in that position, Lark teased. I never been so embarrassed, Piper said. You been between my legs enough times already. I can't wait to see the face you make when it's Izuku taking you from behind, Lark said. Yes, that'd be great, but both of us are 17 and his mother doesn't want him to be having SEC till he's older, Piper said, as their world has different rules about when it's okay to start having SEC and when kids are seen as adults. I can wait, and I still have to teach the other princesses and their handmaidens the ranking, Lark said. My body will be back into shape in a couple of weeks and my attunement is almost complete. I won't have that excuse to sleep with him all the time anymore, Piper said. I already have a plan to replace that, Lark said, having been using Piper's need to be with Izuku to heal her body, to gather information from the other girls and other things of interest. Well, there is his mother, Piper said, as she enjoys spending time with Inko, who mothers her, giving her something that she never had growing up. If I must, Lark said, being uneasy being around and interacting with her future mother-in-law. She's just too different from her own mother in how she treats her. Where is he? Piper asks. Staying at the embassy on his world. All that work he did helping Star after school and on weekends has worn him out. He just wants to relax, Lark said. He earned it, Piper said. London, 1891. In his office, Mycroft Holmes has been busier than he has ever been, thanks to his younger sister Enola. The pre-recorded presentation that she made, to explain the advanced technology and the supernatural world that's been hidden in plain sight, had answered many questions and brought up more. The young man Izuku Midoriya, who traveled from one world to another looking for a way to his home, had met and opened her eyes and left her his home and some of his technology. The technology has already brought much change to the Empire, both military and civilian technology. All slowly being brought out so that people can get used to the changes and not be hit by it all at once. There's enough trouble with the public learning that werewolves are real, thanks to the rampage through the city of London, followed by the fight between it and the crab creature that turned out to be a robot. And the sea creature is a submarine that's been dressed up to scare people away. The newspapers are having a field day with that, but the news of the death of the werewolf after its head was separated from its body showed that even if it was supernatural, it could still die like everything else. Thanks to Enola, who now under the light of a full moon, transforms into a werewolf, he's been made into her guardian to keep her from going out of control like the last werewolf. She is locked in a cell till she turns back to normal in the morning. Stacy, the artificial intelligence or AI, has been very helpful in helping to tame his sister's beast side, being the only one that could be with Enola and not be attacked, as she uses the hologram form to talk with Enola in her transformed state. She also has been very helpful in organizing the new branch in the military that deals with the supernatural and alien technology, Torchwood. Named after a similar organization in the British government in a fictional world setting of a time-traveling alien in a blue box. The two wooden lions have been contained, and as long as they're not mistreated are docile. Seeing how they were looking after those children who discovered them, Stacy said, showing the two lions in the new containment center. And that makes how many confirmed supernatural objects found? Mycroft asks. This makes the 8th so far, not counting what Enola found beforehand, Stacy said. What about the search for real magic users? Mycroft asks. If there are any true magic users left, they be found with native tribes of the far-off lands of the Empire than around here. The witch hunts and the church saying it's the work of the devil, which people use to take revenge on others, by saying that they're witches and warlocks. Too many people pretending to be better than they are and lashing out at any scapegoats that they can, worsening their problems through sheer ignorance and denial of their crimes. But that's what I expect for people who think that they're the center of the universe and that the creator of it made them in its own image, Stacy said. Didn't this Izuku met gods before? Mycroft asks. Yes, and the ones who aren't like the Greek gods, find their followers expect too much from them and asking for things that they can handle themselves. And the whole bringing back their loved ones, while offering nothing compared to the cost of doing so, Stacy said. What about the new medical devices that do bring people back to life? Mycroft asks. Defibrillators don't bring the dead back to life, it restarts the heart of a body that's still warm. Besides, while bringing someone back to life as a cyborg is possible in some of the worlds Izuku has been to, doing so without the one who is brought back to life permission and of course how much it costs to do so, mostly ends badly. Usually with the one brought back to life unwilling, going on a rampage or turning to a life of crime to pay the bills, Stacy said. Yes, the cost, Mycroft said, as the Empire is sitting on a treasure trove of advancements, but the sheer cost of making them real is the problem, both in funding and resources. The third team have reported in. The reports of a vampire is false, Stacy said. The last thing we need are undead BLD drinkers, Mycroft said. There are two types of vampires that Izuku found. The ones who are dead and come back as a undead BLD drinker who needs to feed on BLD to be able to keep from rotting. And the living vampires who are either born as vampires, or are infected. They're also separated if they can only drink human BLD or any BLD will do, Stacy said. Hopefully it's the dead type, and it's just a matter of beheading them and burning the bodies, Mycroft said. With werewolves being real, and magical living wooden lions, this world as a myths and legends are real, but thanks to people fearing it, those myths and legends are either hunted down to extinction or rare, Stacy said. We will find out eventually, Mycroft said. My Hero Academia world. Inside the Nile Embassy of Oceanside, California, Izuku is relaxing from all the work he has done helping Star out. He's currently hanging out with Bloom, Stella, Flora, Musa, Tekna, and Aisha. Joined by the Tono Tengu Shinobi Alliance, a group of exotic elite shinobi with more emphasis on animal motifs than the other shinobi factions. Who serves as the bodyguards of Bloom. Waiwayaki has long white hair tied into a ponytail, to complement her brown skin. Waiwayaki is considered a gentle, soft-spoken individual towards everyone and tends to not go into conflict at times. She is very much aware of what it is to be a leader, and her strong sense of responsibility leads her to mediate in various troublesome situations. On the other hand, her personality does a complete 180 into brutality when she's got an unsheathed weapon in her hands. She's remains her quiet side while she's mediating, but once she loses her patience, snaps, and draws her blade, she ends up becoming the center of the trouble herself. Her ninja animal is the crow. Misato has long dark brown hair tied into two ponytails, with leaves sticking out. She calls herself the strategist of the Tano. She wants to be seen as a cool-headed intellectual, but as she's a highly emotional person at heart, she doesn't really pull it off very often. Kumi likes to tease her over this, and the two fight a lot as a result. Kumi has a fair complexion and slanted brown eyes. Her long, soft orange hair appears messy on the bottom to match her bangs and forelocks. She has orange and white fox ears to match her several tails, which can be used to hold her weapons. Freewheeling, aggressive, and always seeming close to blowing her top, she's the very model of a problem child. That said, when it comes to the weak or people who are relying on her, she's got a big sisterly disposition. She'll take care of them to her last breath, though she'll complain while doing it. Her ninja animal is the kitsune. Ashimaru has a pale complexion and slightly drooped eyes of gray. Her pale hair is worn in low pigtails with fluffy bangs and slick forelocks that stop at her chest. She does everything at her own comfortable pace and is said to be laid back. She's serious and hard-working, but both the course and tempo of her efforts tend to be out of sync with those around her. Her ninja animal is the cow, and has the biggest melons. Nachi has a fair complexion with long, light indigo hair often worn with a straw hat. She loves money and carries around multiple rolls of bills at all times, believing any and all situations can be solved with money. She's always all smiles when dealing with others, but even if she loses her temper, it never shows on her face, making it hard to tell how she's really feeling. She's always harboring some secret ulterior motive. Her ninja animal is the kappa. All of them are sitting on the sofa in front of the TV watching movies. Which Izuku did with the girls often while in their world, as he looked for a magical way to return to his world. Besides the ninja girls, things were like how they were before he left to search for a way home. That was till Katra just walks in and plants herself on Izuku's and Bloom's laps to nap on. Katra. Today is our day with Izuku. Bloom growls at the cat girl who, like any cat, just gave her a flat look before setting her head down on Izuku's lap while her curled-up body is on Bloom's lap. And stop using me as a pillow. No, Katra said as she nuzzled her head on Izuku's lap while purring and making Izuku blush. Off. Bloom said, casting a spell and lifting Katra off of her and Izuku. Katra just leaped back on them the moment she was freed from the spell, which Bloom did the same thing and Katra did as well. Which continued for 4 times before, Bloom had enough and teleported Katra into the bathroom without her clothes, thinking that she wouldn't dare to come out. Which showed how little Bloom knew of Katra. Katra. Bloom gasped as Katra is laying on her naked. What? I'm covered with fur, Katra said, laying her head on Izuku's lap. And Izuku doesn't mind. Katra, put some clothes on, Izuku said, red-faced. No, Katra said, snuggling up with Izuku. A hand grabbed her ear and looking up, Katra sees Izuku's mom, Inko, looking down at her. Katra gave a nervous laugh and sweated seeing her. Put some clothes on, Inko said firmly. Yes, Katra said, getting up and walking over to Bloom's room, and came out with one of Bloom's shirts and shorts. Hey, that's mine. Bloom said, seeing Katra wearing her clothes. And you magic away mine, Katra said as she plants herself back on Bloom's and Izuku's laps. Hey. Bloom said, glaring at her. I'm a cat, what you expect? Katra said and sweated again as Inko is looking down at her, again. Katra, you can help me out in the kitchen, Inko said, having taken charge of the girls in the embassy and keeping them from getting too friendly with Izuku. She's not that eager to be a grandmother. Okay, Katra grumbles as she gets up and followed Inko to the kitchen. Is this how she's always like? Tekna asks. Yes, Izuku said. And her acting like a cat is just normal? Musa asks. Yes, Izuku said. And she's okay with just being naked? Flora asks. Yes, Izuku said. We really need to learn more about the other girls. So that we won't be taken by surprise like this, Aisha said. None of you act like that, right? Bloom asks, looking at the ninjas. Not unless you want us to get naked for some fun, Kumi smirks. Katra and some of her group have already been having SEC with Sunset and Lark's groups. Lark told me all about it, Izuku said. She wants to dominate everyone and shows you who's in charge. She's being dominated by Sunset instead, Waiwayaki said. Sunset and her herd have been having SEC longer and it's a part of their culture, Izuku said. We also been trained in pleasures of the flesh, Misato said. Well, I want to wait, I still have lots to learn about being king to so many kingdoms, Izuku said. And I can wait till you're ready and able to handle your duties, Bloom said as she knows too well what's in store for Izuku once he becomes royalty. It's not all fun and games. The sushi house owned by Fugu Furukawa, Blue Ocean, is where the rich and the elites of the city show up to display their wealth and power. The menu is fully stocked, with only those who have the money could eat at the restaurant, as the food served are all real fish, meats, fruits, and vegetables. Making many wonder where the owner gets all of the real food from. Blue Ocean is currently closed for a private party with the CEO of Cyclonian Waste Disposal, Harold Beige being the one who rented the entire restaurant. Where the selected guests would all be treated to fine dining and a floor show. All the elites and the rich have come to the restaurant, and a few invited guests. Namely, Yorinobu Arasaka, the new head of Arasaka, is there with his sister Hanako, and Michiko Sanderson is also joining them. They're with a number of bodyguards, namely Goro Takemura, Adam Smasher, and Sandayu Oda. Meredith Stout, Militeka's senior operations manager in Night City. Mikhail Akulov and his wife, a Soviet fixer supposedly on a diplomatic visit to Night City. Weldon Holt, deputy mayor and Ryan's right-hand attack dog. Holt becomes acting mayor following Ryan's death and replaces him in the upcoming mayoral race against Jefferson Perales. A camera crew is there to film the live show. The floor show has well-known musicians, namely as Cracks. A Japanese-American girls band representing the Lazarpop genre, currently on their North American tour. The group is made up of 3 members, Red Menace, Blue Moon and Purple Force. The opening act is a new band Loli Rock, an all-girl band of 5 singers, Iris, Talia, Oriana, Carissa, and Lina. And Milky Pop, also an all-girl band, Mai, Jajui, Kaguri, Tamaki, and Yujiri. Who were picked by the host of the party, Harold Beige. Speaking of the host, he's at a table with several people that no one knows. But is quite clearly doing his best to please the young woman sitting near him. Those with enhanced hearing could hear him addressing her as MSTR Cyclones, the same name as his company. Unknown to the party guests, Harold had invited MSTR Cyclones to attend his party and she told him she would be showing with some other guests. Namely Izuku, Piper, Supergirl and Wonder Woman for protection as they both be able to handle any threat. But to be on the safe side she also brought along Supergirl's cousin, Superman for added muscle. Her personal ninjas are also around working as staff. Some new hired soldiers from one of the worlds her parents have hired. The same as Iris's own personal ninjas who are the ones playing the music, Milky Pop, an idol group that live a double life as shinobi. Mai has a fair complexion with shoulder-length gray hair and brown eyes. Her bangs curl to the side, worn with a thick white headband accented with gold designs and a fuchsia ribbon that ties beneath her hair. Wielding a microphone stand model training sword. As an idol she wears an eye-catching outfit, composed of a white tube top with lilac coloring on the front. Her frilly fuchsia skirt is in 2 layers with a white belt clipped with a pink heart to match her boot and wrist cuff. She also wears lilac sleeves with a ring of white around the top to match her stockings worn beneath her fuchsia boots. Around her neck is a white collar with a fuchsia tie. Tamaki has a fair complexion with bright green eyes and long, pale orange-brown hair worn in wavy pigtails held by orange baubles. Her short bangs frame her face and reach her chest. Her specialty is wielding an aura-clad hula hoop to cut her enemies up. As an idol she wears an eye-catching costume composed of a white top with mint coloring on the front, along with a frilly, 2-layer green skirt held with a white belt clipped by a green heart. Her white miniature boots are accented with a green bow held with an orange gem in the middle to match the bow sewn to her white collar. She also wears long white gloves with a flower cuff held with a green strp and a pair of mint tights. Jajui has a fair complexion with dark green eyes and long, pale brown hair worn with a blue-made brim. Her fighting style involves knocking down enemies by manipulating her flexible ribbon. As an idol, she wears an eye-catching costume composed of a white tube top with pale blue coloring in the front. Her two-layer blue skirt is frilly with a white belt clipped with a heart. And a frilly, two-layer blue skirt adorned with a white belt and clipped by a heart. On each wrist is a white cuff lined in red with a single blue button, while at her neck rests a blue bow attached to a white collar. Her light blue shoes have a white loose flap and heel, worn with sheer tights. Kaguri has a fair complexion with bright brown-red eyes and long brown hair pulled up in a ponytail held with a large red bow. Her specialty is wielding a tambourine-shaped knife, using it to cut up opponents. As an idol, she wears an eye-catching costume composed of a white tube top with pale pink coloring in the front and a frilly, two-layer skirt of red accented with a white belt clipped with a red heart and lined in orange. She wears a white collar lined in orange to match the cuff of her red boots, gloves, and pale pink sleeves. A red ribbon is tied beneath the collar. Wayujiri has a fair complexion with green eyes and long, pale orange hair worn with a yellow rabbit ear ribbon. She specializes in attacks using her phantasmagoric baton. As an idol she wears an eye-catching costume composed of a white tube top with pale gold coloring on the front. Her frilly, two-layer yellow skirt is worn with a white belt clipped by a yellow heart. She wears black tights with yellow pumps that have a white ankle strap. Her white collar is accented with a yellow tie, while on each arm rests a pale gold. Iris and her girls are playing songs that no one in this alternate Earth had ever heard before. Getting lots of views from the viewers online, all wondering who the two mysterious bands are. With lots of rumors flying around with who they are as some people ran face scans as they're just not showing up anywhere. The main point of interest is in who the young woman who is sharing Harold Bage's table, who he's treating with the most respect for. She came in wearing a hooded cloak of all things, that folded up revealing a black dress over a black bodysuit. The big players in the city immediately recognized the way she acted and talked to Harold that she grew up in wealth and luxuries, and has power over Harold with how he acts around her. With her being addressed as MSTR Cyclones, which sounds like Cyclonian, the name of the company that Harold runs. People quickly connected the dots. Harold had spoke of backers now and then of his company but never revealed more than that. The girl must be from the family who backs Harold's company. Agents of the different companies and other parties have their eyes and devices zeroed on her and her company, gathering as much data on the mysterious girl as they can. With how she's seated between the dark-skinned girl and the boy with green hair, and how she's interacting with them, she's close to them as she is to them, as they call her Lark. Piper, the dark-skinned girl, has been sick for a very long time and has gotten better recently, having been using a life support system and likes being out of it. Izuku, the boy with green hair, has been busy serving both of the girls and followed their commands. Both of the girls seem to have romantic relations with him. He and the three, while having some devices on them that the scans picked up, showed no cyber implants on them, not even to connect to the net. The bodyguards in tailored suits who are seated at the table are also getting some attention, as the scans on them showed no weapons or implants either. The blonde and the older man seem to be cousins from how they talk and interact with each other. The tall tan-skinned dark-hair woman is holding herself up as someone who has been taught how to behave during important events. But all three are very casual with how they interact with MSTR Cyclones. The ones who are being professional in their duties are the all-female guards who are all standing around the table, with the expectation of the older woman of the group who is seated at the table. The 12 other younger women are all positioned around the table, all of them loaded with cyberware, armed and dressed as gothic maids. They are Madame Marciano, a cyborg, and her 12 android daughters, all named after months, found and repaired and now serving under the Cyclonian flag. They hail from a universe where space travel is common, and they used to be a part of the Assassin's Guild. They were left in pieces after trying to beat a man who is only known as Mr. and his fellow outlaws known as Coyotes. Now are enforcers for the Cyclonian Empire, with Madame Marciano out to prove herself to the royal family, as to be promoted and be given a colony world to govern. Madame Marciano wears a gray-colored military uniform with a fur-lined cape, which went with her dull grayest skin tone and gray hair. She's appealing with flawless features and a voluptuous body that her uniform does covers but doesn't hide her curves. She's armed with .358 Talon close-range pistol, firing heavy-gauge shotgun pellets. It delivers massive trauma to unarmored targets. Its waste heat is sufficiently excessive that it carries 6 separate ammunition blocks, rotating like a 20th-century revolver to prevent shaver jam or misfire due to premature melting of the shot. And carried a saber on her belt, that has been sharpened by lasers. January appears to be a young woman in her late teens or early 20s with long blonde hair and reddish-brown eyes. She is of average height with an attractive figure and face. She wears a black short-sleeve dress with a gray and black midriff that laces up in the back where her dress features white lace trim on the cuffs, collar, and hem of the skirt. She has a crimson shawl draped about her shoulders. Her dress, like all of the sisters, is an individualized maid's outfit. January is about 5 feet 6 inches tall but, since she is an android, she weighs 400 pounds. Her strength and dexterity still make her appear to be light on her feet. She dual-wields 2 Geth Spitfire, a minigun that magnetically flings clusters of superconducting toroids. These donut-shaped projectiles are designed to shatter upon impact, arcing electricity between the fragments and flash-converting them to plasma. The gun's punishing, automatic blasts impact with the heat of a cutting torch. February physically appears to be between 15 and 18 years of age. She wears large glasses which do not seem to serve any purpose other than fashion. Her hair is a reddish blonde and she wears it in large curls. She is fair-skinned and purple eyes. February stands about 5 feet 4 inches tall and is heavy due to her android body. She wears a mostly white uniform with black lace trim and a black hair bow. It is an individualized maid's uniform. She's the hacker who can break into just about any system and blocks any cyber attacks. She is armed with .77 Paladin heavy pistol. She also pilots a custom Atlas mech that is equipped with a powerful rocket launcher which deals immediate damage in an area and then a small amount of burn damage over time to affected targets. It also attacks with a high-powered mass accelerator cannon. At close range, it can attack with its claw arm either by slamming it into the ground, or by picking up its target, instantly killing it by crushing its midsection. The Atlas also has combat tentacles that she can use for combat or connecting to any computer system and hack it. Her mech is also a walking computer room that allows her to intercepting all sorts of transmissions and spying. The mech also uses an internal fabricator to manufacture to create turrets and flying drones that either attack or repair any damage to the mech. March appears to be about 15 years of age. She has black hair worn in 2 large ponytails. She is fair-skinned and her eyes are a bluish-gray. Her maid's costume is mostly black and white, stylish but businesslike. She wields AN-7 Typhoon is a distinctive light machine gun featuring a face shield to protect the shooter from headshots. Its power and recoil are so notorious that it includes a high-tech kinetic reducer to fight muzzle climb. Not that March needed it as she's strong enough to handle the recoil. April looks to be about 20 years of age. She has black hair and reddish-brown eyes. She has a tendency to look straight ahead with cold eyes. Her maid's outfit is mostly black with some maroon hair ribbons and white lace. It is the most maid-like costume, as if April cares the least about individual style. She is armed with .77 Paladin heavy pistol. May is a mature-looking model. She has spiky white hair and green eyes. She stands about 5 feet 6 inches tall and, due to being an android, weighs close to 400 pounds. Her strength and dexterity allow her to seem as light on her feet as a normal human. The maid's uniform that May wears is the least conservative of the sisters. Punk rock influences are evident, a collar, bare arms, most revealing skirt, and so on. She's armed with .300 Claymore shotgun that is so hard-hitting that anyone that isn't an android or someone who is big and strong will have their arms snapping after firing one shot. June has short dark blue hair that covers the right side of her face and violet eyes. From a distance, she can easily be mistaken for a young man due to being the tallest, about 5 feet 9 inches of the sisters, and she has a trim with an almost boyish figure. Instead of a maid's uniform, she wears a butler's uniform, a black jacket and pants trimmed with red piping lines, a white blouse with a black string tie, white butler gloves and black shoes. She's armed with assortment of throwing blades but is also armed with the fancifully named chakram launcher. It uses an internal fabricator to manufacture lightweight ammunition discs wrapped in holographic tracers. The discs explode on impact, sending shrapnel tearing through the enemy. July appears to be in her late teens or early 20s. She has dark brown hair, brown eyes, and she always has a slit-eyed smile on her face. Her maid's outfit is armless with past the elbow, wears a fingerless black glove on her left hand and a black gauntlet on her right. Her skirt has a long slit in it. Her overall costume seems to have some oriental influence to it. Doubtless her costume is made to give her maximum freedom of movement for her martial arts. She stands about 5 feet 6 inches tall and is heavy due to the android body. Also, due to how her body is built, she's the most physically mature looking of all the sisters, especially in regards to her large BRST size. She is armed with a katana with a monomolecular blade and a powerful semi-automatic projectile-based weapon in her right gauntlet that also has a powerful energy shield. August appears very young, between 15 and 17 years old. Her maid's outfit looks like a child's costume and is the least maid-looking of the sisters. She has a black full dress with lots of white frill. She wears a large floppy top hat with a broad red and white hat band. She wears a red bow tie and has red ribbons in her hair. She stands no more than 5 feet tall. She has large green eyes and long blonde hair braided in ponytails. She is armed with a scorpion pistol. It fires low-velocity, squash-head projectiles with a dual use. The high-explosive filler within the projectiles contains an adhesive that secures the projectile to the target on impact. When fired into a surface, it turns into a proximity mine. September appears to be a young woman in her late teens. She has brown hair which she wears straight cut with bangs. Her eyes are a bright blue. She is not the tallest of the sisters but is about 5 feet 5 inches tall with a heavy weight owing to her android body. Her maid's costume is one of the most traditional looking. It is a conservative white and black with red trimmings and bows. She wears white stockings and black shoes. Her small white hat is held in place with a thin black ribbon. She's armed with AM-98 Widow, a single-firing sniper rifle that is like firing a tank round, and the recoil is enough to break the arm of any non-robot or anyone that isn't super strong, let alone to holding it. October, November, and December, the triplets are the youngest appearing of the sisters. They don't look to be any older than 15 or younger. Their costumes look like a Victorian-era sailor suits. They have blonde hair with ponytails and large brown eyes. Each of them wears a teddy bear backpack, one green, one brown and one pink. If it wasn't for the different colors of the backpacks, they would be indistinguishable from one another. They're all armed with M25 Hornets, a long-range submachine gun, and they can take the recoil from the gun's 3-round bursts. The heavily armed maids and the mysterious MSTR Cyclones would have been all the talk for a while in Night City. If it wasn't for the fact that a man who looks like Johnny Silverhand made his appearance known to Night City when Rosalind Myers, the current president of the NUSA and the former CEO of Militech, Transport, crash landed in Dogtown in an event that would later be known as Phantom Liberty. In the Cyclonian Waste Disposal HQ, inside the trophy room where the body of Rake Bartmoss is kept. 2 raising names in Night City broke into the room, Espectro and Muckman. Espectro, a huge man in a tailored suit, a white button-collared shirt under a gray vest with a rose pin on it. Dark gray pants with light gray stripes, leather black boots, 2 metal gauntlets with 2 red gems on the back of the hands. Strapped to his back is a heavily armored metal tank that has 3 black tubes connected to the fish dome helmet that he wears over his head, that hides his head behind red gas. Muckman, a man dressed in a black armored bodysuit, a featureless black helmet, a black armored trench coat and a utility belt. He's a walking armory as his trench coat having a number of weapons and ammo hanging inside of it. Muckman is watching as Espectro unlocks the display case containing the frozen body of Bartmoss. How long will it take? Muckman asks. Not long, but be ready to run. The moment the case is open an alarm will sound off, Espectro said. A screen in the room suddenly turned on revealing Harold Bage still at the Blue Ocean restaurant and hosting his party. The door of the room sealed itself. The alarm already went off the moment you two entered the room, Bage said. A failsafe? Muckman asks. Can't have my treasures be taken so easily now, can I? Bage said as the air in the room began to be sucked away. I don't care how much metal is in you, you two still need to breathe. Both Espectro and Muckman were engulfed in red smoke coming from Espectro, and suddenly both of them just disappeared when the smoke was sucked away. Bage switched the camera to different settings, thermal, sonar, had a laser grid sweep the room and got nothing. He brings up another screen showing outside the trophy room is Eva with the security team along with Rebecca, who is in a power armor exosuit that covers her from head to toe in tank-grade armor. And carrying a giant-sized shotgun and a grenade launcher. They disappeared, sir, and they have the data shard, Eva said. How's that possible? That room has only one way in, Bage said. The cameras in the junkyard has picked them up, Eva said, making a screen appear showing the two wannabe superheroes running through the junkyard. I already sent Marciano and her girls to the plant, meet up with them, Bage said. Junkyard. The aircraft carrying Madame Marciano and her daughters flew over the junkyard, its lights searching the area and its turrets armed. The light spotted Espectro and the turrets fired on him as he ran, using the trash as cover as the aircraft chase after him. One of the tall cranes that dotted the junkyard, claws suddenly drop into the path of the aircraft, hooking onto the right wing of the craft, sending it crashing into one of the mountains of trash. Bursting out of the craft as it fell was a mech, piloted by February. The mech is equipped with a powerful rocket launcher, a high-powered mass accelerator cannon, and has a jet pack to allow it to make air drops. And hanging onto the mech is the rest of her family. Madame Marciano, armed with AM-358 Talon close-range pistol, firing heavy-gauge shotgun pellets, and carries a saber on her belt, that has been sharpened by lasers. January, dual-wielding two Geth Spitfires, a minigun that magnetically flings clusters of superconducting toroids. March, wields AN-7 Typhoon is a distinctive light machine gun featuring a face shield to protect the shooter from headshots. April, armed with AM-77 Paladin heavy pistol. May, armed with AM-300 Claymore shotgun that is so hard-hitting that anyone that isn't an android or someone who is big and strong will have their arms snapping after firing one shot. June, armed with assortment of throwing blades but is also armed with the fancifully named Chakram launcher. July, armed with a katana with a monomolecular blade and a powerful semi-automatic projectile-based weapon in her right gauntlet that also has a powerful energy shield. August, armed with a scorpion pistol, it fires low-velocity, squash-head projectiles with a dual use. The high-explosive filler within the projectiles contains an adhesive that secures the projectile to the target on impact. When fired into a surface, it turns into a proximity mine. September, armed with AM-98 Widow, a single-firing sniper rifle that is like firing a tank round, and the recoil is enough to break the arm of any non-robot or anyone that isn't super strong, let alone to holding it. October, November, and December, the triplets are the all-armed with M25 Hornets, a long-range submachine gun. As the mech fell, February fired the rocket launcher at the support of the crane that Muckman is in, sending the towering crane crashing and sending up a dust cloud that covered the area. Espectro rips the door of the crane off and helps Muckman out, but both of them saw they're surrounded by the hit squad. Girls, don't blow them up, we need the data shard, Madame Marciano shouted to her girls. She and her girls that aren't armed with explosives open fire on the two, but both of them were protected by their personal shields. Both of them are protected by an energy shield that fired a laser that vaporized the bullets, February said. The hard way then, Madame Marciano said, waving for her girls to get close and personal. July went on the attack, going for Muckman, who pulled out 2 pistols and fired at her, which she blocks with her sword. June, pulling out a machete, went for Espectro, who blocks her blows with his metal gauntlets. May and September equipping their guns with bayonets, with May's being an axe blade. They charged in, with May going after Espectro and separating him from Muckman. October, November, and December rush in, revealing their arms being mantis blades, and used acrobatics, as they dart in and out, attacking Espectro, who fending off their attacks as their 2 sisters continue with their own assaults. Madame Marciano suddenly appeared from behind and drove her sword onto Espectro's helmet that held but cracked. Espectro swung his body around and grabbed Madame Marciano's leg and swung her into May and June. Madame Marciano, upon slamming into her daughters, slammed her foot down and dug her sword into the ground before she fell like her daughters. February in her mech grabbed Espectro and slammed him into the ground, using her mech's weight to pin him down. Espectro tossed a disc that stuck onto one of the mech's legs and suddenly fired up like a jet, sending the mech off balance and falling on top of October, November, and December as they were running up to slice their helpless target up. Espectro followed up by tossed some bombs into the car pile next to the down mech, causing an avalanche of wrecked cars falling on top of the 4. Madame Marciano, May, and June all attacked him at once, with Espectro blocking each of their attacks, while his armored body tanked the blows that got through. He slams his palm into Madame Marciano's chest, and a beep caused her to look down as another of those jet discs stuck on her chest and fired up, sending her flying into the sky. He grabs May's shotgun bayonet and shoves the end into June's chest and fired the powerful shotgun round into her at point-blank range that sent her flying backwards several feet. Followed by him slamming another jet disc onto May's back and sent her flying off into a trash pile, far away. Muckman continued to fire his pistols at July and September, with his bullets bouncing off their heavily armored bodies, avoiding July's sword and September's bayonet that she's using her sniper rifle like a spear. He blocks a swing from July with his pistols as he was aimed at his face, only for September to bring her arms down with her sniper rifle held between her hands, using it to choke him. July pointed her right hand at Muckman's face, her gauntlet ready to fire, only for him to JRK so that the blast hit September's head instead. July's eyes open wide, seeing she had just blasted the left side of her sister's head off. She was kicked away by Muckman, who grabs the sniper rifle and fired it at July as she was rushing at him, blasting a hole in her torso. April, whose left hand transformed into a copter rotator with 2 long blades that spun at high speed, came flying down and tried to land on top of Muckman, who evaded and fired at her with the sniper rifle, which she used her spinning blades as a shield. March's left hand transforming into a buzzsaw attack from behind, swinging her weapon wildly at him and cutting the sniper rifle into 2. April held out her spinning copter arm out as March is forcing Muckman back towards her spinning blades. Muckman dropped to the ground and rolled forward, sending March falling into the spinning blades, and her slice body falling onto April, knocking her to the ground. January used her custom gorilla arms that act like pistons so that when she hit something her arms would extend at high speed, hitting like a jackhammer. To send a wrecked car flying at Muckman, who leap in the air and flew through the flying wreck and throws a BOLO at January, who caught it with her right hand and eyes widen as the 2 weights turned out to be bombs. The explosion engulfs her and destroys her right arm and heavily damages her right side of her body. August attack with metal electrified whips coming out of her wrists from both of her arms. Her whips wrapping around both of Muckman's arms and electrocuted him, holding him in place as April, who got back up, charged at him with her copter blade arms still spinning. Muckman jumps backwards into August and spun his arms to unwrap the whips on his arms as he was in the air, and the WHP no longer taunt. And once his back hit August, he took hold of her whips and swung them at April, and the metal whips got tangled up in the spinning blades while electrocuting her. Muckman got behind August and slaps one a disc jet on her back and sent her flying, with April being dragged along with her. Muckman joined Espectro as the former once again engulfs both of them in red smoke and disappeared from sight. Just as the security team coming from all sides got to the pair, Rebecca, who was itching for a fight, screamed out that she wanted to fight them too. Blue Ocean. The entire fight was broadcasted by the cameras around the junkyard and left an impression. The corporation agents are already contacting their people to get on to getting Muckman and Espectro on the payroll and to take measures against them too. Others were very interested in the weapons used during the battle. Adam Smash, while he couldn't anymore, was grinning on the inside. Having watched the fight, he hopes to fight them soon. So those wannabe superheroes want to play? Fine, I'll play the villain, Beige said, smiling, and brought up a screen showing Eva. Gather up Madame Marciano and her girls, they're going to be more than willing to get some payback. Didn't he say he would love to be a Bond villain? Piper asks Lark. He did, and those two did just rob him. And beating the security team he sent to deal with them, Lark said, having enjoyed the show. As if this city isn't wild and crazy already, Izuku said, being glad that he never visited this world when he was traveling to different universes. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 7. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author MadHat886 on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.